Hello and welcome back to the Wisdom of Odin. Today we are continuing my exploration into Northern Europe and the Viking history here. The first episode we did in this series was in Germany, where we explored one of the largest Viking settlements, Heitebø, and then we moved up to Denmark, where we explored the oldest city in all of Scandinavia, in Ribe, and explored the Ribe Viking Center. And today we are heading up to Jelling or Jelling, but actually while driving up there, I looked over to the side of the road and saw something and just like, turned over because of course I have to stop and see this. So yes, let me show you what I saw while driving down the road here in Denmark. You know, when driving around the United States, you might see a giant cross, a going to hell sign, or, a porn store sign right next to it, or maybe even a giant dinosaur. That's specifically Tennessee, but you don't usually see cool things like this. So to be just driving down the road and then look over and see a recreation Viking ship sitting in a lake, well, that's pretty cool. I don't really know if I can tell you anything about it, but I think it's pretty darn awesome. We were reading a sign that was nearby just talking about this area in general. There's a few things hidden around here, but mostly this area is just known for its beautiful lake, and I can see why. This area has got rolling hills, whereas most of Denmark we've seen so far has been very flat. So very beautiful area and a pretty cool area to see a Viking ship just chilling on the side of the road. Hello and welcome to our destination today. So we are in Jelling, Denmark, and it's got a very interesting history, as I have recently learned from the museum here. So originally I was just coming here because it has two very well-known runestones and two very large burial mounds. But after walking around, I realized and learned that there was a lot of history and a lot of mystery here. For a very short period of time, this was a very, very special place and a very impressive place to the Viking Age. Now, sadly, it is not impressive to Norse mythology and Norse paganism because the runestones here that many people come to visit actually mark the end of paganism. It literally says on there, Denmark is a country, King Harald is the king, and they are Christian now. So it is 100% not a good Norse pagan site. But the history here is absolutely fascinating, and one I think this is really worthy of sharing with you, and I hope you find it just as fascinating as I have exploring around here. Beforehand, I do want to thank and just really shout out the museum/visitor center here in Jelling, talking about the burial mounds and everything. First off, it was free, which is obscene considering everything here in Denmark is so incredibly expensive. But also, it was really well done. I'll be putting footage throughout the video, I'm sure. So it actually had a really interactive display, had a lot of information, not so much artifacts, but it was just really informative. And it had a really wonderful Norse mythology section that played different stories of the gods, of creation of Mjolnir, of Ragnarok, in this like LED lit room with all kinds of bells and whistles. And it was really, really tastefully done. And just overall, really great information. Really enjoyed it and was very surprised how great a free museum was, especially considering in my last travel video I went to the Ribe Viking Museum and was incredibly disappointed, and it cost about 20 euros to get into. This place was like 4 times the size, 20 times more impressive, and it was free. So if you are planning a trip through Denmark, highly recommend stopping here. I mean, the burial mounds are cool looking, but the museum and visitor center was absolutely incredible. Actually, before we move forward with the information section, look at this. Look at this little video I'm going to play for you here. It had a section of going to Valhalla and what it would be like to die. So it showed you dying in battle and then burning and then crossing through the Bifrost. And then as you arrived in Valhalla, it showed like your ancestors cheering and a horn being blown and everyone excited for your arrival in Valhalla. I mean, it was so cool. And just like little things like that, that really shows that they care about the history, and it was a lot of fun at the same time. So I will be giving you a tour of the facility here in just a moment, but I want to cover some of the history while I have a spot that is relatively wind resistant because it is very windy here. So I may not be able to talk as much in the sections when I actually move around. But real quick, a backstory of this place. It's actually fairly young for the Viking age and really came out of nowhere. Jelling was the dynasty location of King Harald Bluetooth and his father, King Gorm. They both had aspirations to become king of all Denmark and to unify Denmark under one Jarl and one kingdom. And so this place was really built to signify their power. And so there's a lot of power moves. Some would call it big dick energy moves, you know. I mean, essentially you have the burial mounds built that have like nothing in them, which is crazy. But the burial mounds are some of the biggest burial mounds. The wall around here was one of the biggest walls. It had one of the biggest ship mounds. It had, you know, just big, big, big. It was really trying to show their power. And so the Jelling dynasty lasted for a period of about 30 years, or at least as King Harald Bluetooth as the king. And so he ruled for quite some time, especially for that age. And he really expanded the defenses of Denmark, especially against Germany, who was very aggressive at the time. So he actually increased the walls, he increased the amount of ring forts, and really fortified the nation. Now, it does seem to be a very mysterious reason why he just suddenly kind of vanished. So his body is actually, as far as I can tell, not known. We don't know where his body is because he was actually chased out of the country, and the town of Jelling and all that was here was essentially burned down. And so obviously the burial mounds still stand here, the runestones still stand here, but it hasn't been until the recent history that they've discovered quite a bit more about what this place is. So really this place signifies like the height of what a Viking kingdom could have been like before it was demolished. So it has just a lot of really impressive things. So let me give you a tour around here to kind of show you the really impressive monuments here. So this right here is the southern burial mound. Again, very mysterious, lots of mystery around here. So the southern burial mound had nothing inside. There wasn't even a tomb. There was some remains of wood inside the inner sanctum. So most burial mounds have a tomb down in the base here. And there was nothing here when they dug into it about 100 years ago. And no matter how many tests they've done, there's nothing here. So the actual usage of this has not been known, but it was built, as far as I know, by King Gorm and King Harald Bluetooth. And here at the top of the southern burial mound, you can kind of see one of the things we're going to be talking about here, which is this white wall. So keep in mind, we're at the southern burial mound right here. Great view. And again, I don't know if I feel anything up here. I mean, it was kind of built in a Christian way, which is the sad reality of it. But at the same time, it is very impressive to be up here and to think how big this really is. And, you know, what it could have been used for. It's the mystery that really excites me about this spot. Very quickly, because these are a very popular spot for people to visit. Here are the actual runestones themselves. This first one being the most impressive because it is the largest. However, to someone like me, these are, again, not something very significant, considering the fact that they are noting the conversion period. However, having said that, this does mark the birth certificate of Denmark, so to speak, and that's kind of what this site is known for, as this is the first time that Denmark has been used as an actual phrase referring to the kingdom or the country of Denmark. So this really marks their start as a country. So for that, it is significant. However, once again, it's just not very important to me as a pagan, considering it says that paganism ended. As we transition out of here, it is important to note that this church has not always been here, but it has been here at least since the 1400s, because there was a depiction of a church. It is, however, rumored that immediately after conversion, they began to practice their faith, their newfound Christian faith here, and it was a weird mixture of pagan rituals and Christian rituals between the two burial mounds. The graveyard that I'm walking by right now actually still contains stones from the original structures that once stood here, including one we're about to get to, which is really exciting. And here you have the smaller but still impressive North Burial Mound. Now, this one actually did have a tomb at the base of it. However, when they dug into it, there was no body inside and very little grave goods. In fact, I think the only thing they really found was a chalice and a few other things. So this either means two things. One, it was never actually used. Two, it was grave robbed and someone broke into it before they started doing excavation work and actually cared about the history. So it's hard to say either one, but either way, we do not know who was actually buried here or who was intended to be buried here. The most common theory is that King Harald Bluetooth's father, Gorm, was to be entombed here. But again, they just don't really know. But it is fascinating that it almost seems like maybe these were later built, in my opinion, that they were both built to be tombs, one for Gorm, one for Harald Bluetooth. But this place was was actually attacked and burned down before they actually got to finalize their places where they were going to die, or sadly it was robbed by grave robbers much earlier, and we just do not know what is in there any longer. There is a theory that Gorm's body was exhumed before it was written down, and he's buried somewhere in the church, and they think that maybe they found his body, but they just can't prove it. Now, interestingly enough, there was a thing in the museum talking how Gorm's ancestry has lived on, the Jelling dynasty has lived on, and they had a picture of all the descendants here with a flag where they put their thumbprints on it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So as I climb the North Burial Mound here, I just wanted to say, if you're enjoying the content here at the Wisdom of Odin, please think about liking and subscribing and all that good stuff. I post content like this all the time, especially when I'm traveling around. Big scary storm cloud behind me there. But this content would not be possible without the amazing people who support this channel on Patreon. And if you want to become one of those people and get an exclusive sneak peek at some of the videos, exclusive posts, live streams, please think about donating on Patreon. It means so much, and truly it supports me as a creator, not some big business. I make this content so you can learn more, so you can be entertained and see the top of Danish burial mounds without necessarily having to go there. Whew, okay. Thank you so much for however you're able to support this channel. And now, back to the video. It is here at the top of the North Burial Mound. I want to add a little bit more of the mystery to this story. So the North Burial Mound, at one point, you could go into the tomb and look inside. But in recent history, it actually was closed off, which is a little suspicious. Could be a history reason, could be a protecting, something reason. But again, there's something a little off about this place. And it's the fact that a lot of the knowledge here is not something that has been known until the last 20 years or so. So they're still finding new research here about what this place was. And most significantly, this is really what I want to show you up here. So over here, remember south side, remember that wall over there? Again, sorry for the wind. You remember that wall on that south side? Well, here's the north side, there's that same wall. So all of these white posts are actually where the original wall stood to this place. This place was a compound. And remember, this place didn't exist until Harold Bluetooth and his father built it. And it only existed for about 30 years after they did. And yet it was one of the largest compounds of any Viking camp, any Viking city for this purpose. There wasn't a town here. There wasn't a village here. There was at most 3 or 4 long halls built here, and then the sacred site and the runestones. So this was all built just to show the power of the Jelling dynasty. All of this wall, all the way there. I mean, that's a decent walk. That's about a 5-10 minute walk away, all the way around here. Truly incredible. But I tell you, the most incredible part is something they didn't discover until just a few years ago, when they found evidence of a burial ship, of a large-scale burial ship. Now, it wasn't actually a boat. It wasn't actually ever in the water, but it was a stone burial mound, burial ship grave thing that started here. See how far away that is? That's the top of where the ship was. And then these lines right here and over here show how big it was. And I'll put up some footage here of the other locations. It engulfs both this northern spot of the entire complex all the way to the other burial mound. Over 350 meters long. This burial boat, this spirit boat that would be designed to take people to Valhalla, was built around this complex. And no one seems to know why it was built. I mean, again, this place was supposed to be the new kingdom where, the Christian king took over. And yet here's something that was used to take people to Valhalla, to take them to the next life, all around this. So I don't know, there's something here, and people just don't know why. They've only found a few evidence of it. Like, they've kind of placed together the pieces to say this is how big it was. It started off smaller, then it got bigger, and to eventually it's the size it is now. All along there. It's one giant ship around this entire compound, walled in by this massive wall. Truly insane. So let me actually take you down there and show you what it looks like, and kind of show you the length, and I'll show you kind of a couple other things before we close out this video. But I hope you realize that this place is kind of weird, right? Like, gigantic burial mound boats around 2 giant burial mounds with no bodies inside. What? So as we transition to our next location here, I just wanted to say the reason I find this so fascinating and why I think there's just a mystery here is because Jelling, the city of Jelling, did not exist until around 950 when it was formed by Gorm and his son. And all of this stuff was built here in such a short period of time. Now, it could either be something that was built very quickly, or there was something else already here. And considering the mystery here, especially the giant ship, you know, history can only be so accurate. So things like the giant ship don't coincide to me with the plans of Harald Bluetooth, since it wasn't a Christian thing. And so it makes me believe that was already here. Or at least that's just my theory or my hope, maybe. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. Say hello to Thor behind me as well. Here you go. You really get a good view of how big this plot was. So remember, I was up on the hill, up there. That was where I was at. Still walking. Way over there is actually where this ship was. Crazy. Okay, here I am at the very tip of all of those boats. There's where I was on top of the burial mound. And again, it goes to the other side, to the other burial mound, and ends there. What was this used for? Truly, what was it? And then right here next to it was a long hall. That's the foundation, or the resemblance of the foundation for a long hall that once stood here. So you have a long hall next to a giant burial mound ship representation with two burial mounds that were never used. Again, maybe it's just, you know, what they've come to the conclusion of is it was just a way to boost his ego, a way to show his power and his might as a nation. But honestly, maybe it's just my pagan mind, but there's something more here. You wouldn't build this if you didn't have some form of spiritual intention, is my opinion. And just the pure scale of this entire place, with how big the walls are, how far they go back. The long halls, 3 long halls here. Not a village. It was just, you know, they say it was used as a power play, but I don't think you just do this as a power play, because who's going to see it? I don't know. And then the fact that it mysteriously vanished as well, after 30 years, poof, gone. All of this done in 30 years, and then poof, magically all gets burned down, and we don't know about it for hundreds of more years. Something's here, guys. That's all I'm saying, is something is here, something's amiss. And it's really cool being here, and it's been really fun learning about it. Just wanted to show you, seriously, look how far back those walls go. I mean, it's a really big wall on this side as well. Such a big, incredible. Then once again, there we are with the boat. Something's amiss. All right, we have reached the end of this video. I've actually filmed this video twice because I came here really not that excited. I wanted to see it because it was close by, and you know, it's supposed to be a heritage site, you know, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with the runestones, but I knew their meaning. I knew it was the end of paganism. But I was just so blown away by the mystery of this location, by the size of it, by the unknown knowledge that lies here, the fact that we're still discovering things about it. It really excited me that I got to see this. I'm so honored to be here, so honored to have learned all of this. The museum was absolutely incredible, truly. The fact that it was free just blows my mind. And Thunderstorm, while talking about it, everything's just come together. I've really had fun making this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it and hope you found it informative. Let me know down below what you thought of this video, and if you think that my crazy idea that there's something, do you think there's something else here? Do you think that this place has a little bit more mystery, and maybe, again, maybe I'm just trying to make it connected to paganism because I'm pagan, but I really feel like something's here. Something's amiss. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. This is the last video I filmed in Denmark while my journeys up here, up into Northern Europe. I made, I think, 6 or 7 videos, so make sure you go back and check those out. They should all be in the Paganism on the Go section. It all started with the gathering in the Netherlands, and I traveled my way up visiting pagan sites, Viking sites, and just making videos along the way. So make sure you go back and check those out. Thank you so much to everyone in Denmark for all the kindness, all the information. Seriously, people here have been incredible, and it's been an incredible journey in an incredible country. Next up, I'm going to the UK gathering in the UK and starting an adventure there as well, traveling across Scotland and making some content along the way. So thank you so much for joining me for this video, and until next time, and until the hall, Skål.